Hello, everybody. April the 3rd, 2026. Happy Good Friday to everybody. I hope that you're spending some of this weekend with your family, and it's always fun to have a 3-day weekend. And I'm gonna have fun with my family, of course, on this weekend. Hopefully, it's not going to be busy. Good Friday, for whatever reason, has a tendency to be a busy weekend in the world of homicide. So hopefully it's not this year. It's good to be here. It's really good to be here. I've been super busy. I've been really busy. I haven't been to work much at all, actually. As a matter of fact, I just spoke in Kansas. I was in Wichita a couple of days ago, and I spoke at the Kansas Narcotics Officers Association, which was a ton of fun. And of course, of course, I got a tag signed. I mean, and how cool is that? And it looks awesome. And then before that, I spent a week down in Texas at the Homicide Investigators of Texas Conference. And one of our past guests on here, which was Lieutenant Schleiger, he actually presented. The one thing I thought, in Texas, I thought I wasn't going to go with a license plate. And my wife, Tina's like, I don't like that idea. That's kind of silly. And I'm like, no, I'm doing it. I'm taking a sign. So I went big because everything's big in Texas. And I thought I'm going to get a real highway sign. And I just took that out as it was sitting on the side of the road. No, I'm just kidding. I've had that in my garage for years. And so I had them sign it, and they were nice enough to sign it, and they were good sports about it. So anyway, the conference in San Antonio was epic. Like I said to the people that are listening in here, if you are in the world of homicide or crime scene or forensics and stuff like that, we would love to see you come down next year in March along the Riverwalk and join us in San Antonio, where it is a ton of fun and a lot of learning. The presentations this year were epic. It was really, really fantastic this year, but I would like to see it be sold out. That's really the goal. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have to go to work for 1 week, and then I'm going to be off onto the road again. And I'll be in Marksville, Louisiana, where I'll be at the Louisiana Probation and Parole Officers Association, where I'm starting to get the feeling that they're going to treat me like a king. And I love that. And they're going to have me judging a barbecue contest, and among other things. I don't even know what all I'm going to be involved in, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And, down in Cajun country, I already know it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then after that, I will be driving home for many, many hours and then catching a plane the next day. And I'll be heading off to Cherokee, North Carolina is ultimately where I'm going to be, which is for the North Carolina Homicide Investigators Association. And the reason why I mention all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is because you never know if you happen to be looking for a speaker. As a matter of fact, this guest today, she's wanting to get involved in that and start speaking about her book. And I think that's great. But if you're looking for a speaker, then, you may have 2 speakers right here that might fit your schedule for 2027 for me. My schedule this year is just nuts. And I've already booked one. I'll be in Atlantic City at Caesar's Palace. And then this is going to be for the conference this coming up. That's going to be April the 22nd. I'll be speaking, but I'll be there all week. I'm going to be up there. So if you're going to be in the Gatlinburg, Cherokee, North Carolina, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Pigeon Forge, who knows, you might actually see me. And if you do, say hello. Let's get to this. I want to introduce this next guest. Gale Bleth is a personal safety educator, crime prevention specialist, and speaker dedicated to helping people build awareness, confidence, and practical safety skills. She holds a bachelor's degree in speech communication from California State University, East Bay, and a master's degree in leadership from St. Mary's College in, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Moraga, California. And then Gail spent 16 years working at California State University, East Bay, and 16 years as a crime prevention specialist with the Hayward Police Department, which happens to be it's really close to Oakland. She has been a certified R.A.D systems, which is self-defense instructor, since 2000, and served as state board president of the California Crime Prevention Officers Association from 2018 to 2025. That's a long time. And through her teaching and writing, Gail shares the aware mindset to help people stay alert, trust their instincts, and take ownership of their personal safety. And guess what? I met her in Palm Springs, California, last year in October, and there she is right there. And we had a blast at that conference. Dan, I love going to Palm Springs anyway. I'm a super fan of that town. And we had a good time. And there she is. And I cannot say enough about the California Crime Prevention Officers Association. It was one of the highlights of my year last year. They go all out and they had a fun time. And that dressing up, and there they are. And I tell you what, I felt like I was part of the family, and they really treated me as such. And so much so that they have invited me to join them again this year in Lake Tahoe, California. And I cannot wait. It's going to be epic again. And they're a great group of people. Let's bring on Gail. Gail, this is Gail's first time to ever be on a podcast. I love it that you're here. Love it.
Thank you so much. I can't believe you have those photos. I covered my eyes for a second going, oh my God, that was me.
Hey, that was a fun time. That was a great group of people, and you guys really have a fun conference. And so if you're crime prevention in the state of California or any of the surrounding states, they've got spots available. So check it out and sign up. It's going to be at Margaritaville in Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe, which is right on the border. As a matter of fact, if you go out the back door, you're in Nevada, actually. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm so glad you're here. When I met her, she's like, yeah, I'm a former president. And she goes, actually, I'm writing a book, and it would be great if you could actually read it and give me your thoughts on it. And I did. And I thought it was a really cool book. But before we get to that, I'd like to know, first of all, Gail, how did you end up getting, where are you from? Kind of tell me, are you originally from California?
Yes, I was born in Oakland, California, but shortly after that, my father was in the military. He was in the Coast Guard. So we just jetted off and moved to Connecticut. And then we were back in California. Then we moved to Alaska. Then we moved to Puerto Rico. And then back in California, where I graduated my senior year in near Oakland. It's a city called San Leandro. So that's where I ended up. And I've been pretty much here ever since, or not here, but there in California. I'm in California right now, but currently I'm in San Diego. So, yeah.
I'm going to be there next October. I'm going to be there September. They want me to come speak there. So I'll be there next September. And I love San Diego. I haven't been there since I was a kid. I was born in San Jose. So just over in the area. So
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we were. So anyway, tell us about, you grow up there, and then did you do anything else before you got involved or you worked in the college and you did that?
Yeah, but, I did.
Yeah. How did you get involved in crime prevention? What interested you, and how did you get involved in that?
So Jason, to be honest with you, I wasn't even looking into law enforcement at all. I just got a job. I was going to school at Cal State East Bay is what it's called now. But prior to that, when I graduated from there, it was Cal State Hayward. So I still say Cal State Hayward because it says so on my diploma. But I was a student there, and I was also working there part-time, and then I went full-time. But after that, I was still pursuing my degree in speech communication. And that's what I really wanted to do. Like, my passion was to just speak to people, to inspire people, that kind of stuff that I wanted to do. And so I felt like speech communication was my thing. So I did that. But I also read a book called, I'm sure everyone knows, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And mind you, this was in the 90s, like early, maybe mid 90s, that I read the book. And that was really mind blowing because it changed my way of thinking. And it's a leadership book. So, of course, back in the day, they didn't have Surrey or smartphones, and the internet was just surfacing. I think I remember it was AOL that people started with. Yep. So you couldn't just get on and say, hey, Surrey, I want to know more about Stephen Covey and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People book. I didn't have that. So what I did was, actually a friend of mine said, why don't you try and look at Franklin Covey, a Franklin Covey planner. So I looked into that a little bit, And I found out that Franklin Quest was a planner. So it kind of helps you with your everyday planning and goal setting and things like that. And for people who are like huge procrastinators, it really helps. So with that, and Stephen Covey's book, they put it together. They made a planner called Franklin Covey Planner. So I took the class, and the class was mind blowing. It really put me like in a different level of where I wanted to be. And I said, I want to teach this. That this is what I do. This is how I want to inspire people. Like I want to be able to push this information out to people. And so I did that, and I went to the class, and then when I graduated, they with my speech communication, what happened was somebody from the orientation department asked me if I wanted to teach time management, and of course, the Franklin Quest or Franklin Covey book was all about planning and time management. So I pieced something together, and I went ahead and started teaching just to incoming freshmen, incoming transfer students, anyone that was actually going to orientation. And I thought it was pretty cool. People actually really liked it. And I thought, well, I'm going to continue doing this. Then the University Police Department saw me teaching a class, and they're looking for presenters, people to send to a COPS training school. COPS is community oriented policing and problem solving. And this was back like right around the late 90s. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. I want to do it. So they sent me to school for that. And what I was able to do in the university was to go into criminal justice classes and be like a speaker for one class and talk about the COPS philosophy. And back in the 90s, the agencies were kind of changing its ways. They were going from traditional policing to more community policing and seeing the softer side of police departments. And so being actually more engaging to the community. So that's what I was actually able to do. Then I'm trying to make a long story short. And so after I did that, and that was fun, the police department actually offers a R.A.D class, which is the rape, aggression, defense, like women's self-defense class. And they offer it twice a year. So I was going in, signing up, saying, okay, I'm going to do it. I actually want to learn self-defense, and I want to know how I can protect myself. So I didn't show up. Then, because they offer it twice a year, I signed up for the next one, and then I didn't show up. And my problem was I just didn't have the time. Yes, I was using a Franklin Covey planner. I just couldn't fit the time in there to put in my 12 hours to complete the self-defense class. So, but an unfortunate event, two unfortunate events happened on campus, which was 2 rapes. And that just scared the entire campus community. And right away I said, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't take this class. So I did. I signed up for it right away. And I didn't kind of read between the lines, but this sign up was actually for me to become a trainer, not to be a student in the class. So I was thinking, okay, they're sending me to San Diego to go to school for a week. Okay, I'll do it. Like I wanted to be a trainer. So I did it. And that was like another milestone in my life. And from there, that was my turning point of wanting to teach and wanting to change people's mindset, inspire people. That kind of stuff is what I really like doing. Then a couple of years into it, I was teaching R.A.D, and I went to lunch, and I was introduced to these 2 people who were sitting in this restaurant, and they were 2 people that were crime prevention specialists for the Hayward Police Department. And the police department was just down the hill. So I said, hey, what do you guys do? And so they told me, and right away my eyes were like, wow, okay, this is what I want to do. Now I want to be I want to do crime prevention because I can speak to people and actually get paid for it. And to be honest with you, I was not getting paid with doing my R.A.D or my COPS, because it was outside of my work, because I didn't work for the police department. I was just kind of volunteering for them to be a speaker or a trainer for them. So I thought, well, why don't I just go ahead and apply to be a crime prevention specialist, and I can get paid for it. But it took me a couple years to get into that police department. I wasn't, they didn't have a crime prevention specialist open yet. So I waited and waited. And finally I said, I'm just going to apply for a position. And once I get my foot in the door, maybe something will come up and I'm already in. So I did. I applied for a secretary's job for a patrol captain. And he looked at my resume and said, you've got a master's degree. And I had already completed my master's degree at that time. He goes, why do you want to be a secretary? And I was like, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to be a secretary. I go, but I mean, no offense. I'll be your secretary, but this is not what I want to do. I want to do crime prevention, but I've been waiting 2 years for a job to open up and you haven't had one. So I'm going to get my foot in the door and I'll do what I can. I want to be part of the team. So he said, well, I'm going to be honest with you. We actually have a crime prevention opening coming up soon. And I thought, great. So, but what I did was I didn't say, I don't want to work with you. I'm just going to apply. I basically was his secretary for a little bit. And then I bounced out to crime prevention. And so that's kind of how I got into crime prevention. And I've loved it ever since.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? I mean, was there not any openings in the surrounding area, or was it just that difficult to just get into any area or that area specifically?
Actually, I wasn't really looking for anywhere else. The two that I've met there's actually 3 of them. There's 3 crime prevention specialists that worked for the Hayward Police Department. And that the one opening that they were going to have she was going into the police academy. So there was an opening. But I didn't even actually look because, like I said, I wasn't looking to be a crime prevention specialist and I wanted to look everywhere. I just wanted to do it for Hayward because it's right down the hill and it's really close to my house. And I thought it'd be fun, which is super fun. It was super fun.
And that's one of the things that I took away from your conference that you had in Palm Springs was all of the individuals, all of the different teams and stuff that come to those conferences. They sit there and they brainstorm. They talk about, they're really proud about what they do for their own communities and stuff. And we're talking about programs such as Trunk or Treat, which is a huge deal. And to tell you the truth, while you guys were talking about all these different programs, I'm sitting there on my phone and I'm checking, do we do that in Tulsa? I don't know, And so I thought, wow, okay. This is really exciting stuff. And you have to be I would say you have to be a people person to do that position. You can't.
Oh, absolutely.
You are engaging with people all the time and getting people excited about different programs and stuff. So how was it when you got into that position and what are some of the more memorable moments, as you kind of progressed and became more knowledgeable and so forth as you had that position?
Well, when I first got into the crime prevention unit, there was 3 of us and they welcomed me. I like literally out the gate running. I wanted to know everything about what they did. And it's literally, so this job is like event and community driven. You have to engage the community. You are, first of all, the face of the department. Other than a PIO, you're actually the face of the department because you see everybody in the community and you're bridging that gap between the community and the police department. Because sometimes there's a lot of people who hate the police and there's no trust. So when you do talk to people, especially in events where you have a booth and people are walking by, you can tell the ones that really like us and the ones that don't. So, but I learned from the beginning to do the neighborhood watch. It was so overwhelming, but so fun that, how people say you're having so much fun and getting paid for it, but it doesn't even feel like you're working. So that's kind of how I felt. Like, hey, I'm going to work and I don't get out of bed going, oh my God, I got this big presentation to do. It's just like, let's do it. And so I mean, learning about, one of the things that I really liked was SEPTED. I don't know, it's crime prevention through environmental design. And it consists of taking a 1 week class and then a 3 week class to be advanced at it. That was really fun because you can go into anywhere and tell people how to be safe just by walking into their house, or you're walking outside their house, or you go to I know we down the street from where my office was, there was a brewery, and it's very famous, called Buffalo Bill's Brewery. And he kept getting hit by homeless people. They're breaking in. So I went out there and I did the septet around the perimeter of it, and I had to write up a report, and he really liked it. So and that's rewarding, and that's what this job is about. It's all about helping people and being rewarded, and things like that. One thing I wanted to mention too is educating the community. One aspect that we had was the community academy. Sometimes people call it the Citizens Academy. And then we also had a youth academy. So if people really want to know about our police department, then attend our community academy, because then you'll know exactly what to do. Like we go
Agreed.
from like A to B. You know what I'm saying?
No, agreed with that 100%. I mean, that's absolutely a great point. And if you're in any community across this country, I'd say any department that's a little larger, they're definitely going to have something like that. I would be shocked if they didn't. Here in Tulsa, we've got a 13-week academy that is the Citizens Police Academy. I speak at ours for 2 of the weeks, and it's one of the highlights. Yeah, it's one of the highlights for me throughout the year. And I actually get to discuss. I actually do a thing on death investigations, believe it or not, and I show the real deal. And then from that, the other week I talk about critical incidents response team, and then officer involved shootings. and I think you get a real large cross section of different people. We've had activists in there. We've had news reporters. We've had and I think that what happens is that I'll be honest. There's been some people that I don't think they're necessarily a real fan, but they're trying to get more education as to what's going on. And when they walk out of that, at the end of it, they're like, I had no idea. And, ladies and gentlemen, if you should know what you're paying for, you should know what we do. And it's an exciting thing. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is a huge thing that people watching this, get involved, go check it out. There's not an age limit. I've had people that were in not high school, but in college, all the way up to retired and in their 80s. And they just wanted to see what's going on. So good point.
You've got all walks of life who want to know what's going on. The funny thing is, you can tell who someone was trying to come in who was a reporter, and it's just so obvious that they're a reporter, but they didn't want to tell us that they were a reporter. Well, what we actually do too is we vet people, because they are going to be coming into our police department. We have to make sure that they're pretty clean. So we vet every single one of them, and we have sometimes up to 70 people who attend.
Oh wow, that's a lot. Yeah, we get about 30. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are the people that are going to be paying for a pay raise. They're going to be voting for that pay raise. And so it's good for them to get educated. And it's great if you, and of course, they put some of the more dynamic speakers into these academies to, they're not going to be bored at all.
Right.
So that's great. So, and I remember when I was sitting through the thing in California, somebody was bringing up, well, they actually had the speaker from McGruff, the crime dog. From that program, and that was really interesting to me to listen to that guy, and how they're trying to revamp McGruff, and that's what was that like one of the original first things that was out there back in the 70s about trying to educate the public. Yeah,
absolutely. So we have a McGruff costume, and I'll send you a photo, but I don't know, I still have it on my phone actually, but we always had McGruff at any event that we have. So we've also had, they were called cadets. So we would ask a couple of cadets to come to our whatever event it was, and we'll bring McGruff. So he was really popular, but a lot of the younger kids didn't know who McGruff was, like taking a bite out of crime. So McGruff got lost, literally. The costume came off. It was put into one of our vehicles, and it just disappeared. So somebody must have taken it, maybe. So for a couple of years, we just didn't have a McGruff. And so we asked our lieutenant, can we buy another one? And he says, well, nobody knows who McGruff is. And I said, but the kids like it. They don't need to know who McGruff is, but they just like to have a character out and giving them stickers and things like that. So it took us a while. We actually had to raise the money to get it. And so we got another McGruff. Never found the other one.
And I'll tell you what, it's really kind of cool. I was McGruff. I dressed up as McGruff. I was a school resource officer, and I would wear it at like the semi-pro basketball games and stuff. And it was fun. The kids, they loved it, you know, so it was a good thing to do, etc. So as far as crime prevention today, it has evolved just like policing has, where now you're utilizing, I really wish they would utilize it more, social media. And actually, if I was to do something else on the department, that's honestly, that would probably be a better fit for me. Just getting out there and talking to people and utilizing the internet to show police officers and doing fun stuff and showing that we're real human beings and we care.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm sure I wanted to mention one other program that popped in my head so I don't forget. And I'll remind people that are listening to this. Let's say you have a kid that's 14 and up. The Explorers is a great program, and it doesn't necessarily have to be police. It could be for the fire department, police, things like that. And that's a program for kids 14 and up to be involved. It's like it's affiliated with the Scouts, the Boy Scouts.
Yes.
But you can be a girl. You can be. We have lots of girls that are involved in that, and they basically. They wear a uniform. They show up to the academy, or if you're in fire department, you go to different stations and meet, or different occupations. And it's really, I was an explorer. It was great. So not a policeman. I was fire.
We had, in our department, we had, in fact, that my captain who interviewed me and hired me, he actually started out as an explorer and in our department, and he made it up to captain, but he actually made it to chief, but at another department. But a lot of our officers started out as explorers, and it's a great program.
It is.
And they're fun to have as helpers too, especially when we have big events. Yeah.
That's right. So let's talk a little bit about, kind of the innovations that have been going on. What's some of the stuff? And I know that you're out of the game a little bit. You've been out of the game of crime prevention for the last few years, 3 or 4 years now. But what is some of the stuff that they're kind of, when you left, what was some of the stuff that they were doing that's really cutting edge stuff?
Wow. Well, there was a program that somebody had in our department that decided we should do it. It was called the EYES program. It's like EYES. It started, I believe it was Empower Your Electronic Systems, something like that. So, and what it was, and I thought it was really cool, where if you had a camera, Ring camera, Nest, or anything that's shown outside of your home, you can register it on a website. And then if any major crime is to happen and that speeding car or the person running happened to be running by your house, then we can check our log and see that whoever's homes that have cameras, we would go up to their homes and ask if they could share that information for us for the investigation purpose of it. And it actually was successful for a while, but once I left, I don't know if it continued or not. But I thought that was one of the good actually programs that they have. And I don't know if any other agencies do it, because somebody else in-house actually kind of made it up, and or if it has expanded to other agencies. But it was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to get to your book here in a quick minute, because I'm really proud of you. Yeah, when you were talking about it, you were so excited about that book and that project, and you were still writing it, and I was like, that's just sitting down and starting a book is a huge accomplishment, just to do that. And I know there's a lot of books out there, but to do it, you did it, and it's about ready to come out in the near future. But before we get there, so were you guys actually utilizing the internet to engage the public quite a bit towards the end when you left?
We did. We had to hire someone from within that wanted to do the social media portion for our police department, and she was really successful with it. But that was towards the time where I was about to leave. But and I just remember we would have videos. The traffic guys are really funny, so they had some really funny clips of. They said it was what on Fridays you can dress down, right? So these are motors, right? So when they dressed down, they looked like they were going to Hawaii. They had their shorts on and a Hawaii shirt, and the captain or someone had said, "Wait, what are you guys doing?" He goes, "Well, we can dress down today, can't we?" And it's really funny. So we were trying to put in funny things like that, but I was actually never a part of that. But that was definitely something our department was doing before I left.
That's good. Well, let's talk about this book, Aware. Throw that up real quick, Amanda. This is a book that I'm going to tell you right now. After reading this, I was sitting there reading it, and as I was in, first of all, it's very easy to read. And as I was reading through this, I was thinking, and I know we talked about this, and I think we both agree this is a book that should be required reading for teenagers. And really, that's what's kind of good about this book is this book's not just for teenagers. This is a book that you could get for your kid, young adult. You can get it for them, or you can get it as an adult too. And it really is just an interesting read for your public safety. So let's talk about what Aware is and how this book came about.
Yeah, it's funny because when you did my bio, when you read my bio, it's true how it all kind of came together. So being in higher education, working with students, working with student organizations, and these ones are ones who just got there. So these are first-time freshmen, been out of the house or been literally leaving the nest and going into the wild is how I phrased it. And then going into crime prevention and then putting all that together with my self-defense, all of that, it just kind of clicked like, oh my God, I need to write my book. But really the backstory of why I wrote it is I've been trying to teach R.A.D in a smaller version. So can't teach a 12-hour class if people don't have the time. So I put together a 90-minute presentation talking about the 90% of your safety is knowledge. So, and that's chapter number 1. I had a PowerPoint. So I would do the PowerPoint and I would talk about everything, the triangle, the color code of awareness, and then like your personal weapons and things like that. Well, there's a student in the class who didn't get a chance to write all the notes down because I just had my PowerPoint up. So she said, "Well, do you mind if I get a copy of your PowerPoint?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Then later on, she said, "Why don't you put this into a book?" And I thought, well, I would love to, but when I teach the class, I really engage with the audience and I show samples, and the color code of awareness is something that people don't know what it is. And one of my chapters is stay in your yellow. And so it makes them think like, okay, I didn't know that I'm in my yellow. If you're sitting here right now, like I'm sitting here in my house, I'm in my yellow. But if I hear a loud bang outside, then I'm kind of going to go in my orange. And then if there's a big fire or whatever it is that's made that booming sound, then I'm going to be in my red. Like I'm like running for my life. So that's what I talk about. So if I wrote the book, I'm not going to be able to see people's faces when I describe it, what it is. And so I kind of put it aside, and then, now I've got family that's of age, like my nieces, they're pushing their teens. And I have friends who have kids who are just leaving high school. And I thought, gosh, you know what? I should be writing this book for people. What was I thinking? And so now is the time. And that's kind of what kind of pushed me to do it. And then, so hopefully people will will read the book. They'll learn a lot from it. And it's not like one of your books where you pick up and say, okay, do not go in the elevator if a shady person is in there, or watch your drink if you're out and about because it could get spiked, stuff like that. This book actually tells a story of different characters, and that way it could be relatable to the readers, especially the ones that are young, the ones that are just leaving high school or just getting into college. When I was working at the university, and I did a lot of stuff for the University Police Department, they would tell me about events or crimes that would happen on campus. And there's date rape, and there's, all kinds of crimes. So these kids, they leave the nest and they think they've got all this freedom, but yet they don't really know what they're doing. So this really helps. So I coined the phrase aware because it just dawned on me one day. Like, I kept writing, using the word aware. Let's use the word aware. You have to be aware, always aware. And then I thought, well, what can I use aware for? And then boom, it came to me. The A is for alert. W is for watching. The A is to assess. The R is to respond. And then the E is to escape. So if one could just think about that, then you would be able to make an assessment. If you really want to go or do something with friends, you kind of want to put the aware method into place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think what I liked about the book too is what I kind of took away from it, and is that probably parents are not really preparing their kids for the real world like they likely should, and to remind them. And maybe kids are like, yeah, it's never going to happen to me. But this is really, I really wish, I don't know how this would come about or how you could do it, but this is really kind of one of those books that, like I said, it should just be required for high school kids to pick it up, even those that aren't even going to go off to college. Doesn't matter. I mean, they can be a victim. They're very naive. They're very naive, and everybody nowadays, they're so into their phone while they're walking everywhere. They're not even paying attention to their surroundings. And so I are you there?
Right.
I think we might have lost her for a quick second. Oh, there you go.
So this book is for everybody. It really is. It's easy to read, easy to understand. A friend of mine, actually, I gave her an ARC of it, and she read it in probably 2 days. And she doesn't have any children, but she is now going to be more aware because she read the book. So that's what that's what I'm trying to get people to understand is read the book and know your color code, know where you're at, and don't be a victim there's in the book too. It's called the victim pyramid. So the pyramid basically is a pyramid, and you've got this bad guy over here, you're over here, and this is the opportunity. So if you don't want to complete this pyramid, then you just have to take away the opportunity, and then you don't have a triangle or a pyramid anymore. So that's what you have to do. And I have so many stories about that when I was working in crime prevention, how people do not understand that you can't leave your electronics in your car and think you're covering it up with your leather jacket. So that was one of my calls that I got. And I just was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're telling me this, because you left the opportunity for someone to break into your car and to steal your jacket. And when your jacket was taken, then he got all your laptop and electronics as well.
Yeah. That's since you bring that up, I mean, mention kind of one of those stories that kind of stands out to you. That's something that they were going to get in the book, as far as, because you get into detail as far as, like, in one instance, I remember and you can use a different story, but the one that I remember is something where you talk about somebody ends up becoming a rape victim. When they go off to a party, their friends go, hey, let's go. And they're like, I don't want to go. I'm not interested. And then they kept, peer pressure. Come on, let's go. We're going to have a great time. And then they ended up leaving her at this
Right,
party, right? So go ahead and
right.
tell a little bit about that,
Yeah,
and
and
kind
that's a
of.
great story, and that's in chapter 1. And I think I was trying to kind of start the book off with intensity, and so people will wake up and say, okay, I need to really be aware of my surroundings, and be aware when I go out. So this fictional character, her name is Lily, and she came from a family, only child, where her family worked hard to to support her, but they didn't have enough money to send her to school. So she wanted to be an attorney. So she worked really hard, got a full ride scholarship to an East Coast. So she was from the West Coast, but went to school on the East Coast. And she was really excited to go. Her roommate, her name is Bree. Bree is sort of a rich girl, a party animal, and Lily is not. So Lily needed to make a decision right away that if I'm going to get through college and get good grades, I need to stay away from Bree. So that's what she did. The big storm came. Nobody could leave. And for like 2 or 3 days, it was like this big storm. And they, when they were able to actually leave, Bree just asked Lily, come with me to this party. We've both been in our dorm rooms for 3 days. Let's just go and have fun. And so she said, okay, I'll go with you. I need to meet people and go. And then as soon as they got there, Bree took off, left Lily by herself. And this boy came up to her and gave her a drink. And she said, I don't like beer. Gave her a solo cup. And she goes, I don't like beer. So he says, well, why don't you come over here and I'll make you something. So he turned his back on her, and he was making something in the kitchen, which they made into a little bar. And so she kind of took a sip, and she's like, I don't really like it, but she held it in her hand, and then she started not feeling well. And the next thing she knew, she woke up in her dorm room that next morning. Then after that, she wasn't feeling well, but she just thought, you know what, I think it's because of what happened, and I'm just not doing well. But anyway, trying to make this long story short, she ended up being pregnant because she was roofied at the party, and this young man took advantage of her, took her into the room. So what she did was she asked Bree, like, what happened to me last night? And Bree says, well, I saw you asleep in one of the bedrooms, and I took you home and put you in your bed. So and she didn't feel well. Like, her body just didn't feel well, and she didn't know what had happened to her. She just thought she was really not feeling well. And then she ended up being pregnant. Then she left school. So that's chapter 1. And there's more chapters to come.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, now, how do people get this book? I know it's coming out. And there's a special that you're running for the first week when it gets released. So tell us all about what the date it's getting released, and the special.
Okay, so the date is going to be this month on the 28th. It's a Tuesday. So April 28th, it's going to be launched and live on Amazon. So Amazon, or my publisher, is putting a special for any ebooks. And the ebooks are going to be for 99 cents. And you can get that from, I believe it's the 28th. And then a week later on Tuesday, it'll not be available for 99 cents anymore. But that's where you can get the book. If you didn't want the 99-cent book, if you wanted to actually hold the book in your hand and get it in the mail, and then get a chance to read it, and or give it as a gift for someone who's just leaving high school or graduating. And this is a perfect time too, because it's April. May is when graduation usually occurs or happens for high schoolers. It's perfect to do that. So the special is 99 cents for an ebook on Amazon.
Yeah. What's your experience been like doing this book? I mean, as far as writing it, did you get a publisher? You have a publisher. So this isn't self-published. You had somebody that basically was willing to go out there and partner up with you and make this happen. So what was that experience like for you?
It actually, As much as I loved writing the book, I just wasn't that comfortable in the layout of it. And so I went to a publishing company and had somebody help me kind of do the layout of it. And so we moved stories from here to there. And then they were helping me actually do the actual publishing until it's out, until it goes live. And then I'm kind of on my own after that. Or
Yeah.
they'll probably help me for a year, but other than that, once the book is out, there's it's just about trying to promote the book.
Right.
So yeah, I needed some hand holding. I couldn't do it myself. I just don't have the how do they say it, the bandwidth to just try to do something myself. It's just because I'm busy too. I do other things, and
Yeah.
I wanted to do this book, and that was my goal for the year. Actually, it was the year 2025. I made a vision board, and my vision board had the book in there. And I took a photo. You take photos of bookshelves. Like I went into Target, and how you see the bookshelves with all the books on there. And so I
Yeah.
took a photo of it, and then it didn't look like this cover, but I made something similar to it. Would put my name on the bottom, and then I printed it out and I put it on my vision board. And I knew that in 2025, I was going to finish this book. But after in 2025, it takes a long time to go through all of the editing and the proofreading and all of
Mhm.
that, the book design. So finally, it's going to be coming out April 28th.
Yeah, and so I'm actually starting to click on a keyboard myself to write a book, and
Great.
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of room on the shelves, right? So I would love to do it. How did you come up with the picture, the cover? I'm just curious as to how that came about.
So I'm going to be honest. I had to do a chat GPT to say, hey, I'm writing a book on personal safety, and I want it to be I want it to be where the bird is leaving the nest and going into the wild. So the bird came up, this bird came up for me. And then I took the bird and I kept it because a red bird is significant to having a red bird. It's empowerment, and it's signifies something. So that's that's the only thing I really asked the graphic designer to put in. It was my
Mhm.
bird, because yeah, I did it myself, kind of.
Right.
Then I wanted to do the color code of awareness in there, and I don't know if you can see how the white, the yellow, orange, red, and black. So in the
Yeah.
book, it talks about the Cooper's color code of awareness, and it's really important where we always should be staying in our yellow color
I
code.
love it. I love it. So, because that means a lot, and it's kind of cool that you came up with that concept, and they were able to incorporate all that. So, how do you get like into book signings, and how do you get a book like this on the shelves at Barnes and Noble or Walmart per se, Target? I mean, is that stuff that you're going to be able to do, or what is the process to do that? Because I'm sure you'd love to have that happen
Oh
down the line.
yeah, I would. My focus is more on bookstores, which is like the universities, colleges, and university
Yes.
bookstores. And I have a friend who owns a bookstore in Hayward on B Street, and it's called Books on B. And so I contacted her a couple weeks ago, and I told her about my book, and we're going to set up a book signing. Since I'm from Hayward, really, and I went to college in Hayward, I worked in Hayward, I know a lot of people there, so we're going to try to put something together so that I can actually reach out and tell people, hey, I wrote this great book, and
Yeah.
go that route. But I do know that my book is somewhere out there on some website where Barnes and Nobles, Target, Walmart, all of those folks can go in and see what books are actually coming out. And then they can decide whether they want to take that book and put it on their bookshelves.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody wanted to reach out to you, and I should have asked you this before we got rolling. If somebody, do you have like a website, or is that something in the works for people to
Yeah.
reach out and talk to you?
Yeah. I do have a website. And if they want to contact me, it's basically info@stay-aware.com.
Okay. You might want to
Yeah,
type that in the private chat so Amanda can throw that up for us
sure.
real quick. Yeah, throw that in there so she can get it right. I want to make sure that people are able to get to that, to check it out. And what other kind of stuff is on your website that they were able to find? Is it just a kind of a blog or stuff that they can just ask questions to you?
Yes. So my website is being developed right now. Today, actually, we did a shoot for the videos, and chapter 7 in the book is how to be a good witness. And in my PowerPoints, when I used to actually do this in person, I wanted people to sort of know how to be a good witness. And one of the things I would do is I would pop up on the screen a photo of either someone robbing a bank or a getaway car. I would show it up for about 5 minutes. I mean, I'm sorry, 5 seconds, and then I would take it down, and then I would ask my students or my audience. So, what did you see? What do you remember seeing? And it does happen fast when you think about it. If you are a witness of a crime, you can't just. Sometimes you don't remember because it happens so fast, but you can remember if you train yourself to remember. So that's what I do. In the book, I couldn't do that. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? So we decided to put a QR code in the book. And then, so that's in chapter 7. So the QR code, you take your phone, you click on it, and it goes right to the website. And then the website will pop up the 3 scenarios of how to be a good witness. So we filmed that today, and in Irvine. And so the guy that's going to help me out with it is actually going to embed it in there. So I said, you have until April 28th to get the website and because they're going to buy the book and they're going to click on it. They're going to want to do the, I want to see like it, you want to see it live. So I had some people help me with that. I had like my nephew, my niece, and my cousin were there, and they played the victim, the assailant, and the witness. So that was great.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So you say you're really busy right now. So what are you doing now, since you've left the world of crime prevention and you're off doing other things? I know that this is probably a lot of your time is dedicated towards marketing this book and getting it out there. Yes. And that's probably a full-time job in and of itself. Are you doing other things? And if people want to find you to have you speak, what are they going to get when they bring you as a speaker? And how does that all come about? What are they gonna hear from you?
So I would love to go and speak at any conferences if they ask me, and I can tailor anything that they want. So I used to have like a list of like gosh, if I can think, I would do ones for, oh gosh, well, of course, time management, and then there was workplace violence and this was all based on being working in crime prevention and of course working at the university. So workplace violence was really important. Gosh, I could pretty much do anything if they ask me, like, hey, can you speak about this? And yeah, I can, because I'm pretty well versed in stuff.
Yeah, and you're a good communicator.
Like yeah, you're a good communicator. And that's what I like to do.
Yeah, and I do too. Yeah. I think that's great, and I think that she'd be a great speaker for anybody out there that wants to make your employees aware and so forth. Yeah. And man, I'm just curious. Do they have like a conference for like brand spanking new authors that could all get in there, and they have different booths and they just kind of put their book out there? I don't know if they do or not. That sounds like a fun thing to get all these different people.
It does sound really fun. The only thing I've been doing is trying to find conferences where I can actually be a vendor and speak also about the book. But the only ones that I've found is the ones that I think it's called NACADA. It's the National Association of Counseling of something or other, but also admissions too. So people who work in admissions for universities, they get to go away to conferences, and those are the ones that are in charge of orientation. So if I can get into something like that, which I've been looking, I've also been looking through the crime prevention in different states. So Florida, I actually was able to go to the Florida crime prevention conference, but gosh, this was back in 2018, I think. It was a while back. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, if you want to go to a conference, go to the Florida one. It's pretty good. So
Okay,
that's
good
kind
to
of what
know.
I've been searching. So yeah, I've been putting a lot of my time to try to promote my book, and hopefully I can get in somewhere so that it can be, especially to be a mandatory for students to have, especially if they're in orientation. Like here, this is one of the books that you're going to get when you go off to college, and it's in your book bag, kind of thing.
Wow. Oh, no, that's
Yeah.
cool. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that idea. So that sounds great. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't go wrong with getting this book. And I always say that knowledge is power. And so the more that, even for young people, and I'll be honest with you, we don't have a whole lot of young people that are tuning in to watch me or on this, but the vast majority of them are the older people, which is great because you're the ones with the money, and your kids don't have the money and they're probably not going to spend it on this. So it's up to you, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
to buy a gift that could really better prepare them for the future and maybe even prevent them from being a victim. And that's the goal. And I don't remember the statistics, but I know that for like individual, like females that have been sexually assaulted and stuff is extraordinarily high. And it's alarming, the statistics that happen to young people, especially in colleges and stuff. My goodness. But ladies and gentlemen, you should check that out. Is there any final thoughts that you have, Gail, to leave and empower our listeners with, to leave them with any final things or anything that we haven't covered that you would like to get out there and mention?
Yeah. I think I definitely want to put a shout out to CCPOA. They great organization, and I am going to try to go to the conference this year, which is going to be in October in South Lake Tahoe. But this organization is, when I first started in crime prevention, the first thing my partner told me was, you got to be a member of CCPOA. I'm like, okay, like I just want to be a part of everything. So I did, and we went to our first meeting and got to meet the people that was in our region, because there's 10 regions in CCPOA all throughout California. So when I did that, it was an incredible experience because I learned so much from other crime prevention specialists, and especially the conference. But what they had to do is they had to do a training that's sort of related to your crime prevention, so that you go to the training, then you meet with people in your region, and they talk about events that's happening and what they're doing. And I was like constantly taking notes, like, wait, you have a coffee with the cop? And then they would say, yeah, but we did a coffee with the cop at they called it, oh gosh, it was at a dog park. So puppies with the police is what it was. So we went to the dog park. You go to the dog park, and we gave out these little collapsible bowls. It was awesome. And then we brought all our canines out. Well, that was a little dangerous, so they had to go back in the car. But so you learn so much about all the other ones. So I just want to give them a shout out that I really enjoyed being a part of CCPOA, and they're doing an excellent job in maintaining their momentum. And you're going to enjoy the conference. You're going to enjoy the conference. Yeah.
If you don't have to just be from California. You can be from surroundings. You can be from any state in this country, actually, and attend this conference. I know that other states they go probably to check out and see what you guys are doing. You are welcome to go to this conference if you are involved in that industry. And I would strongly suggest that you check it out, because it is a lot of fun. They make it a lot of fun. And I actually sat through most of it when I went there. I like to sit there. I like to take in too and learn what's going on out there. And you won't go wrong with this one. You'll meet some good friends and people that'll be there as resources for you down the line. Gail, I can't thank you enough. You've been an awesome guest to have on here for episode number 90. You're the 90th episode on here, which is a big deal, and I'm glad that you're here. And I told you back then. I told you last year I was gonna have you on. You were absolutely interested in doing that, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the fact that you're my first podcast, and hopefully many more to come down the line, to get out there and push this book. And I'm excited for it, and stay in touch. And you're welcome to come back on if you want to come back on down the line. If you come, especially if you write a second book. I don't know if you're thinking about that already, but I think that would be great.
I'm actually.
Are you?
I'm actually doing the outline for book number 2, but it's not crime prevention related. Actually, it's more retirement related. It's actually a lot of fun to
Good.
do.
Well, when you get that done, come back and we'll talk about it. And so, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this, like I've told you many times on here, I'm sorry we're not live tonight, but you know what? It's a Good Friday tomorrow, and I just, you just can't have somebody on here on Good Friday, but I didn't want to leave you without an episode, and so I like being live. We'll be live the next week, and I don't know who it's going to be, but it'll be a dynamic person, no doubt. And thank you again, Gail. I appreciate it. Don't click off of here. Don't click off. We're going to talk behind the curtain when we go off. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a book to buy, a gift for a young adult that's about ready to enter the world, and really any age, I think is when they're from teenage years, I think this would be great, whether they're a freshman or a senior, or they've just recently started college, or they're in college. It doesn't really matter. Get this book. I think it's a good one. And I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't believe, she wouldn't be here if I thought if it wasn't very good. It's great. It's a good book to read, and check it out. It's a very good resource. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you. This show is not a show without you. Everybody, I know who's already in the house. I know it's going to be Steph, my cousin Darren, and on and on and on. It's that Phyllis, all of these people that are here. I'm sorry I'm not in here live with you, but tomorrow when you're watching this, I'll probably be sitting in the chat room. And Gail, I'll if you find yourself not doing anything, feel free to tune in tomorrow when this thing hits. It's going to be 7 p.m. tomorrow night. I'll send you the link and we'll talk about that. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. Gail appreciates it. Be sure to tell your family and friends, and be sure to subscribe. And I'm getting a lot of subscribers from there's my Instagram. No, I think that's Instagram. There's my TikTok. My TikTok's going nuts, and I love it. I love it because it's just growing like crazy, and I'm bringing a lot of new subscribers over here. Please subscribe to this page. Remember, like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. I try to engage with everybody, and it's amazing how many people I actually communicate with. It's hundreds, if not thousands. I rarely miss somebody. I try to communicate with everybody that leaves a comment, and so I do appreciate that. Until next week, take us out, Amanda.